Welcome to the 700 Club. Let's go over to the CBN newsroom for today's top stories.
Thanks, Gordon. Fighting is picking up on Israel's northern border. Hezbollah targeted a church in Israel the day after Christmas. Meanwhile, the U.S. struck Iranian-backed forces in Iraq after an attack on a U.S. base. CBN Middle East correspondent John Wagi reports.
Hezbollah is stepping up its attacks on Israel on the northern border, and Israel is striking back.
Hezbollah is trying to drag the country of Lebanon and the region into this war that Hamas started. If Hezbollah continues, they will bear the consequences and the responsibility for the outcome.
Israel says Hezbollah fired an anti-tank missile at a Greek Orthodox church in northern Israel, wounding 2 Israeli Christians. When IDF troops arrived to evacuate the wounded, Hezbollah fired at the church again, wounding 9 Israeli soldiers. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu outlined conditions for the post-war administration of Gaza in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal.
Yesterday, Prime Minister Netanyahu spelled out the 3D vision for peace between Israel and our neighbors in Gaza: the destruction of Hamas, the demilitarization of Gaza, and the de-radicalization of Palestinian society. Those are the 3 prerequisites for peace.
Meanwhile, the U.S. military carried out retaliatory airstrikes against Iranian-backed militia in Iraq after 3 U.S. service members were injured in a drone attack. And Iran's defense ministry promised a smart and strong response to an alleged Israeli airstrike that killed one of its top generals in Syria. Now the UN announcing Iran has tripled its production of nearly weapons-grade uranium, a stepping stone to a nuclear bomb. John Wagi, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, Israeli President Isaac Herzog is expressing his gratitude for Christian support of Israel. Over the holidays, he spoke with CBN News about Israel's relationship with the Christian community. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl sat down with the president of Israel.
President Herzog, thank you for joining us on CBN News.
Thank you, Julie.
So since October 7th, Israel is in probably one of the worst times it's been in since it was established. How do you feel about the situation now? Do you believe Israel is going to come out victorious?
So we are at war, and the war that we are holding is not only a war between Israel and Hamas. It's a war that has to define civilizational values, and it has to define the way the family of nations operates. We're in a way protecting the values of a major part of the world who believes in freedom, liberties, democracy, because if we weren't here, and all Jews would be wiped off here. That's what the Hamas wants, these ISIS-type organizations, these jihadists. Then Europe would be next and the United States is next.
Now, your father was a voice of comfort to Israel during the Six-Day War. Do you feel that you are, in this moment in Israel's history, called to bring comfort at this time of Israel's struggle for its survival?
In many ways, yes. I'm the head of state. I'm the president of Israel. I don't hold the executive powers, and I believe in unifying our people, in comforting our people, in hugging our people in the moment of great, great pain and agony. I see so much pain and agony, so many cups full of tears, so many good citizens of Israel whose lives were taken and they were killed by lecherous, murderous, sadistic and barbaric terrorists. This is really a test for our nation as we move on. And I'm very grateful to the support we're getting from many, many friends, from the United States administration, from President Biden, from both sides of the aisle. But I'm really moved by the strong Christian communities all over the world who've been supporting us. I recently, just a few days ago, in honor of Christmas, I hosted a group of evangelical pastors in Israel who reside in Israel and relay a message of friendship and solidarity, and it was just simply amazing. And I want to thank all the supporters of Israel and all our friends in the United States and all over the world who are siding by us and supporting Israel. Toda rabba to all of you from Jerusalem. Thank you.
A lot of those Christians feel they're praying and they're supporting Israel, but many want to know, what can they do more? What can they do more to support Israel?
First of all, we have to remember that we have 129 hostages out there, from babies to old age people who are coming of age, who are all alone in this terrible, dire situation, in the worst type of abduction by a sadistic terrorist. And we have to pray for them and we have to work for them, meaning we have to raise their issues all over the world. Each and every government and each and every network should put them as the main item in their news and point a finger to Iran, who is holding this empire of evil with its forks all over the place, from Hezbollah in Lebanon, from Hamas in Gaza, from Iraq and Syria, and of course with the Houthis in Yemen, who are actually making all families around the world pay a much higher cost because of the cost of travel and the cost of trade around the world. And this is therefore a war that matters to all people in the world.
Israel is the state of the Jewish people, or the Jewish state, but you have lots of minorities here. You have the Muslims, the Christians, Druze, Bedouin. How do they really have freedom of religion here? Are their holy sites protected? How are they responding?
Absolutely. Israel is strongly committed to the protection of all the holy sites. Israel is extremely committed to it from the day of its creation. Moreover, I would say that every year I have an annual gathering of all the Christian leaders, all the leaders of the Christian communities in the Holy Land, usually a very joyous event. On Thursday we convened. It was a sad event. There was no music. It was only a discussion on how much pain everybody is enduring and suffering. However, I repeated and reiterated Israel's full commitment to the protection of all Christian communities in the Holy Land, to the freedom of religion, to the freedom of practice, and of course the protection of the holy sites.
How does that compare to the countries around Israel?
So we are the only country in the region which is democratic, which has full freedom of speech as far as possible, fully protected by our Supreme Court, which is a strong, independent judiciary. We have the right of free speech embedded in our DNA, and it's very impressive in a country fighting terror. All the countries around us are dictatorships and autocratic. And therefore, it's not promised that the freedom of religion will be there. There are countries around us where the freedom of the Christian communities is questionable. In Gaza itself, the Palestinians haunted, chased, and burned churches. And we are doing whatever we can, even amidst these terrible battles in Gaza, to make sure that the Christian members of the Christian faith and other faiths are fully protected, are not attacked by our forces.
As a child in Israel or growing up here, do you have any memories of encounters with Christians or the Christian holidays or anything like that?
I would say that I grew, my adolescent years were spent in New York, where my father served in the United Nations. So I was, of course, exposed to the Christian life, naturally. But I told you that even my grandfather was the chief rabbi here. I had an intense dialogue. He came from Ireland and always had a very close relations with the Catholic Church in Ireland. And I, for one, for years have been keeping this and following in my father's footsteps, who was also president of Israel, the sixth president, in maintaining a very strong bond with the Christian communities in the Holy Land. And it is an opportunity for me to wish all the Christian citizens of Israel, of all denominations, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And of course, to wish all our allies and friends and supporters all over the world and people of the world who are celebrating Christmas and the New Year with the wish for Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And let's hope that 2024 will bring with it a different direction for the people of the Middle East. a direction of peace, a direction of no more war.
Now, I personally have been so impressed by the way Israelis come together and volunteer and want to help and want to be involved. What do you think gives Israel that oomph to do that?
First of all, I want to thank volunteers who've come from abroad. Many Jewish volunteers, but I also invite many Christian volunteers to come and volunteer. There's a lot of issues dealing with the farmers and the agricultural field because, unfortunately, foreign employees had to leave during the war. There's the need to strengthen and foster the communities on the border, both north and south, of being evicted. But I must speak about the spirit of my nation. I'm so proud of Israel. This spirit of unity, of giving to the other. I say this is the hidden light of our nation. We spread hidden light here from the Holy Land. We send this message abroad. Love thy neighbor as thyself, and people are doing this big time. And I'm so proud and so honored to head this nation, which has shown again that it is resilient and strong, optimistic, and shall overcome.
Well, thank you very, very much, President Herzog, for joining us. Our prayers are with
Thank you.
And we really are
Thank
praying
you.
for the best.
Thank you.
President Herzog also spoke about the danger of Iran, the rise of global anti-Semitism, and you can see that full interview at cbnnews.com.